3, 2, 1. Welcome to Strong Personalities. This is your host, Yanni Bear. Today I have the owners of Iron Podium, Craig and Lindsey Kilgo. What's up, guys?
Hi.
How's it going?
It is going. Y'all have some big news that y'all want to be talking about. We are talking today about the Iron Podium Premium.
Yes.
What are some of the things that the audience can look forward to as a promoter, as an athlete, or anybody who's going to be able to use Iron Podium?
So we created Iron Podium Premium about a month ago now, and it's our subscription-based service that allows athletes to access their data in a way that's, quantifiable. They can compare against every other athlete in Iron Podium system. So that premium features, they include your podium score, which is a number out of 500 points, and podium level, which is, your bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond based on your amount of points. Participation statistics, so how many events you've competed in, where you've competed, the number of people you've competed against, your performance percentiles, and a leaderboard, and then premium scoreboards.
Ooh, that is a lot. Let's start breaking it down with the athlete side. So for the athletes, when they sign up for this subscription, which is $5.99?
$5.99.
Correct? $5.99. What are the first things that they're going to notice with the premium package?
Do you want to?
I would say the core of the product is based around your performance page. And so that's going to have all your data, and that's kind of the inspiration for, the entire suite of features was how can we develop metrics that let people see their scores? Yeah, you're going to pull yours up. Yeah, there you go. That let people see the data that we have, on Iron Podium in new and different ways, and also in a standardized way across all athletes.
Awesome. So right here, we see the overall score, which is 272. We see that I am at the gold level, but there's multiple levels. We got bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and diamond. Can you please give us a breakdown of what kind of information that gives the athlete and a promoter who's looking at the athlete's page?
Sure. Yeah. If you want to scroll down a little bit, I can give you the breakdown. So participation statistics, that's 115 available points out of the 500 for your podium score. Right now, the events you've competed in, and they're worth 25 points potentially. The registered events are worth 20, number of states 20, and the number of competitors is worth up to 50. So we broke that down. It's a linear point spread based on the current maximum in our system. So if somebody is currently registered for 10 events, then that means each event that you're registered for is worth 2 points, but it changes. So say somebody is registered for 10 events and then they compete in something this weekend and it drops them down to 9. Now 9 is the max. So the numbers are always changing based on the data available on Iron Podium in our system. So then the number of people you've competed against, that number is worth 50 because when we did our breakdown, we found that was the most important participation statistic that allowed us to accurately determine whether you are competing at a more competitive level or, you are maybe a little bit less, you'll have less data available, I guess is a good way.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So like 104 is a great number.
Yeah.
That's, on the high end. If you've competed even against, 20 or more people, you're actually able to get on the higher end of that point spread now. So that was the number where it starts to make a difference. So if you've competed against 20 more people, so then that's the participation statistics and numbers that load up to 115 points into your podium score. And then for the performance percentiles down, right there, they're broken down in events for reps, events for time, events for weight, and then all events. And the weight, rep, and time have potential 90 points, and then the all events has potential 115 points. And so those are, broken down based on, percentages, what you see there.
So for me, this section right here really surprised me because historically, any competitions that has any kind of deadlift event, it's usually like a max deadlift of some kind, I am dead last. But it seems that other competitions where the axle clean and press or something that's shoulder to overhead where I do really well seems to balance out my. Oh, actually, no, that is as bad as I thought it was going to be. Never mind, I flipped it in my head.
Yeah, what you were just saying. It does show that, right? So events for weight is your lowest percentile, and then events for time, yeah.
And so, like a carry for time, you're getting after it, right?
Yes, that's where that farm life really pays off.
Yeah,
exactly. That's why it's called Farmer's Hold.
Yeah, my coach says that if it's a blue collar event, he knows I'm going to do really well.
Right.
So we got the percentiles here. Can I ask something real quick on these 4 sections on the participation?
Mm-hmm.
Why is number of states you've competed in one of the key metrics?
So that was more of a kind of a fun way to encourage people to compete in different areas.
Okay.
So, that's more about getting more participation, getting people to do things that maybe they wouldn't have done otherwise, get more involvement across state lines.
Yeah. I think also if you have traveled a significant distance for, a meet, that is a signal basically in our algorithm that, this person is very engaged in strongman. You have 8 meets all in Texas, which I guess is a lot of people that have 8 meets. They have a lot more than one state. So I guess for Texas, you can travel a long way and not leave the state.
Yeah.
So maybe Texans are getting a little bit, but that one's weighted very, it doesn't have a lot of weight to it.
Okay. That's the first thing that popped into my head because, like, for anybody in Texas, I know on one of your posts for 2023, Texas was the number 1 state when it came to how many competitions. And then, like, you can drive, like, I can drive to Denver, Colorado from Dallas, Texas, and it's still 9 out of the 12 hours that it takes to get there. 9 hours is all in Texas. So yeah, the Texans definitely get dinged a little bit there. And then I'm guessing like East Coast states usually get a little bit more benefit from that score. Okay. I'm curious, what are some of the numbers that you've seen that are like at the ends of like the bell curve when it comes to the number of people that what's the highest number you've seen?
So the number of people you've competed against is
234,
I
want to say.
234.
It could be even higher. I haven't looked in a few weeks, but in the 200s.
Generally, those people are going to national level competitions.
Okay.
Yeah. If you get 2 or 3 nationals under your belt, that can pump those numbers up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. And last question regarding to that one. Sorry, I like numbers. So
it's good.
So depending on the weight class you're in, you're going to see on average a different number of athletes. So for me being a heavyweight / super heavyweight, I'm usually going to see a higher number of athletes versus somebody who's in the lightweight division. Is that something y'all are account for, or y'all are going to account for in the future, like the average number of athletes that compete in this division?
Okay. So, being a female competitor, I definitely had that conversation. That was a part of the numbers. Is this docking female athletes because we just have naturally lower numbers?
Yep.
And that one is not a linear point spread because of that. So that's why if you've competed, the number is actually 18. If you've competed with currently, it changes, right? But if you've competed against 18 or more competitors now, you get 40 out of the 50 available points.
Okay.
So we did change that one to address that specifically. So that one, even though it's weighted higher, it's not the linear point spread. So actually you have the ability to make a bigger chunk of the points with lower numbers.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So we talked about the participation. We talked about personal performance by scoring, Matt. And I love the little question section right here that kind of gives you a breakdown. What I'm curious is, are there any type of events that aren't accounted for here? Because I've been seeing more of those events where they'll give you 3 weights of, let's say, the log or a deadlift, and depending on the weights that you choose, you get different points. Because it's not for reps, so it's based on the points, based on the reps, based on the weight that you choose,
Right.
you're going to get scored differently.
Well, it would all depend on how they put it in. So this is all by the scoring format that event was in. So
Okay.
if they put it in as reps, that's going to show up as reps. And then everything is going to show up in all events. The only things that don't roll up, there's a couple of weird things that are random, not often used. Total actually doesn't go into one of the categories, but obviously it's going to show up in all events.
Yeah.
You don't see total a lot because it's worth double points. And so usually it's like, for some reason, a meet promoter was like, maybe I'm going to do a max log and a max deadlift, but it's going to be kind of one event, but you get double points for it.
Okay.
And so that's the only time you see total, but that will show up in your all events.
Okay.
So
all events includes those type of events. Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
All events will include everything you've ever competed in. And then the others are breaking it down into the 3 buckets. And we kind of use scoring formats as a proxy for limit strength, muscular endurance, and speed. If that makes sense. So reps being muscular endurance, time being speed, and weight being limit strength.
No, that makes complete sense. So I have a question for you. I think this is an error, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. I see my competition history here. I don't see the first competition I did in November of 2019. Were y'all not created yet, or where were y'all? Why were y'all hiding?
So yeah.
We were not hiding.
So we the idea for Iron Podium started on April 20th, 2019. So we just celebrated our 5-year, conception anniversary of Iron Podium. We got developed pretty quickly, and we were doing competitions just locally in our area, kind of beta testing things by September 2019. And then we released it, but it was really only word of mouth. So it really started East Coast. We happened to meet John Albrecht with USS in
2020, early 2020.
No, I think
January.
It was January 2020. And started the relationship there. And, that kind of grew the USS side, but it still took a while. I mean, it took a while to get out to Texas. And so that's why that meet in particular would be missing from your data.
Yeah, in 2019, I don't think any meets were run that we didn't physically go to. So it was almost kind of in beta for the entirety of 2019, you could say.
Yeah, and somebody who's come from like the app development place, those early stages are rough.
There's a lot of work.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of like, definitely didn't think about that. Need to fix that real fast.
I think that's a bridge that that's a bridge that people sometimes, if they're not in the tech world, don't understand. That like it's not that we don't want to put in new features and put in the fixes, but it's so hard to do a fix or add a feature without messing something else up. So it takes time to like find that good that balance. So I have a quick question for you. What's the action function here?
Oh, click it.
Oh, it's clickable. Okay. So view scoreboard, view individual result, and then view event.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's for Battle Axe Showdown. You can go see the whole scoreboard. You can go see just what you did. Yeah.
So now you have the premium scoreboard when you click on.
Yeah, I noticed these colors over here.
Yeah.
Yes. So now you can see everyone's level.
Yeah. So it corresponds, bronze, silver, gold. You can see, and you can see when you look at these scoreboards, it's not always going to be exactly accurate. But if you scroll up to that novice class, you can see the person who came in 4th is bronze. The person who came in 3rd is silver. The second is silver. And then the first place is gold. So that just kind of shows how, accurate the statistics are in providing you with a correct analysis with your podium level.
So this is a quick question. So did this color change after the event was closed out with the results, or is this what the event looked like when people signed up?
That is her current level. So like as of today, Mary is gold.
Okay. So I am gold, but I wouldn't consider myself a novice. Is like, what is that?
Wow.
Is this something that people can use as a tool to be like, hey, you shouldn't be doing novice anymore? Because I sometimes see people struggle with, when do I stop being a novice?
Yes. If you're gold, you should not be competing novice in general. There are some, I know, there are some kind of unique situations where you might turn gold if you go into a competition and you're maybe against only one or two other people and you do really, really well. You know, there's a chance that you could turn gold by winning one smaller level competition, but it happens.
A small chance.
Yeah, it happens very infrequently. The numbers don't. So in general, if you're gold, that should be a sign to you that you should be moving up.
And the other thing is there's
I said, time to graduate to open.
Yeah.
The other thing is there's, when we calculate the scores, if you are competing for that day in a novice weight class, you actually do get a small decrement on your Z-score, which is kind of what powers the whole thing. So that kind of makes it even harder for a novice to just win one small meet and make it to gold. So if you see an athlete that's gold, it probably means they've either won or placed highly on a couple of different meets. And that should be a great signal that you should go to open.
And I'm sorry, quick question. Purple, what's purple?
Purple is
platinum.
Platinum, yeah.
Platinum, thank you. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty accurate so far on who's. Ooh. Man, if we ever start betting on strongman.
Listen, that was a conversation.
Yeah. I mean, one thing is that we like to say, you know, it doesn't represent your worth. Like, you know, if you're gold or if you're platinum, you know, that we're not trying to make a judgment on you about your strongman abilities. You know, this is just what you have done in the past.
Yeah, it's data. You know? Yeah, it's just data. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has good days. Everybody has bad days. You'll see some people on a scoreboard and they might be, you know, platinum or diamond level, and you might be able to go and outperform them that day because that's just how athletics and, you know, particularly strongman works, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, quick question. So we talked about how y'all weren't around for like my first competition. So who makes up the Iron Podium team? Like, how many people is it?
It's just us.
The people in this screen.
Yeah.
Just y'all two. What's your, like, who does what? What's your background? Like, how does this come together between y'all?
Yeah.
Do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So I was competing in strongman. Actually, we had just met when I did my first competition. So he did come to my first ever competition, but I'd been training up until that point.
We had been dating for what, like 2 weeks or something?
Yeah, but so I'd already been training. I met a great group in Northern Virginia, a bunch of great people that I loved training with. And so I've been competing. I trained strongman clients. And then I was also working as a event manager for the American Diabetes Association. So I was getting good at logistics and, you know, day of event management and things like that. So I feel like I have, you know, a good logistics and event planning background. And then as a competitor, we went to my first competition back after having kids. I'd taken a break. And so technology had kind of advanced and changed during that time. And I'd seen some things in the powerlifting community. So I knew there were some, you know, advances. And so we go to this competition and it's taken a while. The scoring was a big part of why it was taking so long. And so I was tired, and Craig does development. And so I was, you know, tired, and I just said, can we please develop this for strongman? And so, yeah. And then his background, he can tell you.
Yeah, I have an IT background. I guess InfoSec is my specialty, but I do a lot of development, web development primarily, professionally as well. So it was the kind of thing where she knew, like, she could turn to me and say, can you please just make an app to solve this problem? So like we were at this meet all day. I saw at some point like someone in a back room like writing things on paper, you know what I mean? Like scratching out calculations. I'm like, oh man, like someone needs to develop something to help this process along here.
Yes.
So like this scoreboard was really the core feature of Iron Podium that we wanted to bring, like the ability to just type in like how much did they lift and calculate the score for you. And then everything else was kind of built around that.
Yeah.
So what does the typical process look like for when you want to bring in new features or when you learn about bugs that promoters or athletes are seeing when they're getting on the Iron Podium page?
So
since it's y'all too, I'm really curious because I'm used to like a team of like 12 people or developers and then testers and whatnot. So I'm curious how a 2-man team does it.
Well, I have the personality.
I'm curious too.
Generally, you know, I like to be creative and think of new things and grow and create. And so I'll think of something and then I'll come to Craig and I'll say, is this doable? Can we make this? Can we add this? And you know, he'll know if it's possible or not and how much work it may or may not be. Because, you know, with the two of us, it can't be some huge undertaking that's going to take all of his time and you know, energy for months and months and months, you know. Yeah,
you know, the answer is always yes, it's doable. And then I have to say like, this will take the next 9 months and I'll do nothing else. And then she's like, okay, I have no is the answer.
Like it's what's that old book where it's like how do you eat a whale or something? You just like one bite at a time. Really small bites. So what are some features or bugs that y'all are currently working on and potentially fixing or adding in the near future?
If it's a true bug, I try to just fix it as soon as I can. There was like, I mean, super interesting to me, a bug that cropped up actually yesterday where a promoter found like in a particular situation, there was a 3-way tie for second. And then it was like not doing the look back properly. And I was just staring at this thing like, how is this not working? And then like eventually I saw that it worked in Firefox, but not in Chrome. So it ended up being like Chrome has some specific way that they order keys in a JavaScript object, which was in this very specific situation messing up, but only in Chrome, but Firefox knew how to do it the right way. So, you know, any type of bug like that, as soon as it comes to our attention, we want to fix it ASAP.
I feel that to my core when like it's because of a web page that you're using or the browser you're using. Yes. It was so annoying having to tell somebody like, well, it works on Chrome, but it doesn't work on, you know, Microsoft Edge or whatever. So I feel you there.
I'd say, you know, I'm very particular about customer service and making sure that our product is good and not buggy. So Craig's really good at figuring out the bugs. So as soon as I notice anything, we got 2 emails about the same problem, I'm on him and he is fixing it, you know? So generally, you know, we hear about things through email. So if anybody has anything come up, email is a great way to get in touch with us. And, you know, we're paying attention to it. And if it is, you know, a bug and something that needs to be fixed, we're on it.
Awesome. So I know you mentioned that early on during the beta phase, y'all went to the competitions to run it yourself. I think y'all mentioned also that y'all actually go to USS Nationals to run the boards. Is that something y'all do for like as many competitions as you can? Or how else can people reach out to you in case they're having, you know, issues and they maybe need some help troubleshooting?
At this point, we don't go to any other competition besides USS Nationals. It's just very time consuming and expensive. We have 2 young kids. And so, you know, anytime we were to go places, you know, we'd have to figure out childcare. We'd, you know, be paying for places to stay and things like that. So we don't do that anymore, but we are available via email, via phone call. We give Craig's number to event promoters to be able to get in touch with him day of. So we're still very available and monitoring the process. But during the beta, I mean, our goal, we knew we couldn't be at every competition every weekend in all 50 states. So we knew that we wanted the system to be able to be run by, just Scoreboard volunteers and event promoters. So, over the time, making sure that was doable, was a goal that we had.
Yeah, and any promoters that have something come up at a show, like definitely send an email ASAP, and we'll get back to you ASAP. I think this weekend we had maybe a couple emails come in, and we can, whatever it is, it's usually a 2-minute fix. And then, or my phone number is also out there. I won't give it out right now, but
yeah. Don't do that right
now. I would say most promoters have it, or if you don't have it, email me and I will give it to you. And you can call also.
All right. So I think what I did while we were looking at the performance page, where I saw the action, and then I didn't realize that I could click on the 3 little dots, right? What do you call the 3 little dots? Because at the previous company I was with, we could never agree what we called it. If it was standing up straight, we called it a burger.
Yeah, I was going to say the burger is the 3 lines. The dot, I'd probably just say that's an ellipsis, but
just an ellipsis. So
yeah.
I didn't realize I could click on the ellipsis. So what are some common things that you feel like, even though I know we all try to make everything as user friendly as possible, what are some of the little things that you think people just miss from Iron Podium, whether it's the Iron Podium or Iron Podium Premium?
I think this is a good time to talk about the social media update that we're going to add. We would like to connect people more via social media, and we have had requests for people to be able to include that, and for event promoters to be able to access it so they can tag their competitors. So we did add it, and so you can see.
Yeah, so
it's under public social profile right now. And that was kind of out of just, some requests and getting it up there quickly. But
using a lot of Craig words, not a lot of Lindsey words.
Yeah, that has not been finessed yet. So we want to go back and kind of rework that, make it more, make it more known that it's there and what it does. And then we're going to connect that to the leaderboard so that if you're a premium member, you can click on the leaderboard and you can see everyone's social media profile that want it to be seen. I mean, you don't have to include it on the leaderboard if you don't want to. But we thought that'd be a good way to connect people. Also, I mean, if you're higher up on the leaderboard and maybe you're coaching or something, we thought that might be a good way to get your name out there as, somebody that's at least, has a higher podium score.
This is me just thinking out loud. I think y'all could potentially add a category. I know you have it for the promoter side, but I think you could also add a section for people like myself who do commentating, that sometimes we want to reach out to the athletes, get to know them a little bit better. And then this would be a great tool, because then we know, one, how to reach out to them, or you can even have, again, down the lines, not 9 months of you just, staying in front of your computer, staring, your kids forget what you look like, where you have some of the basic information, where it's where they're from, what gym they work out with, what coach, because then that would be a great tool for a lot of the, now that strongman competitions are being streamed more and more and more, regardless of the size of the event. So I think that'd be a really cool function that me personally, that I go to as many competitions as I do to work them, I would love that as a tool. But again, that's just pie in the sky that I'm thinking out loud there. So yeah,
definitely. And I think we have this here right now, and then this just goes to the meet promoter for any meet that you sign up with. But it is actually kind of in a non-obvious spot. And so we still see some meet promoters sending out emails oh, send me, your Instagram or your Facebook if you want. So it's definitely an overlooked feature, and hopefully we'll make it more obvious and be able to, do more and display more with the data as long as people opt into that.
Let me see. Sorry, 1 second. Double checking my questions. Oh, I did have a question. You mentioned ties a second ago. Is there bonus points if you end up doing a tie event? like, is that something that you like promoters ask to include, like in case they have to create a tiebreaker event?
You mean like, does that event filter over to your performance page, or
Yeah.
it would? Yes.
Yeah.
Provided you have data in there.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, if there's like a tie. Again, I'm looking at it from the athlete side. I've never put a competition together. I know I'm helping put together the Cowtown Strongest, the Strongman Corp regionals in July 20th. So I'm looking forward to see it from that side.
Yeah.
So I might pick your brain after this, just to get a best practices after that. So what else do we need to cover when it comes to the Iron Podium Premium?
We went over the scoreboard.
Yeah.
You saw the leaderboard. The leaderboard is opt out. So if you don't want your name to be on there, you can.
I go to leaderboard here.
Yeah, leaderboard. And so this is where we're going to add the social profiles.
No, I'm laughing because CJ, somebody made a comment that he was in second place on your post a few posts ago, and I'm shocking that he probably signed up for a few comps.
Yeah, I mean, we looked at that actually. To be fair, CJ, they were tied.
They were actually tied. Yeah.
For first and second in points, but we do the tiebreaker based on who's been an Iron Podium member longer.
Okay.
And the person, I mean, this is an interesting point, I guess, to bring up with the podium score and podium level. The person that he was tied with also happened to reach out to us, and CJ is a well-known strongman athlete that does well, and
don't tell him that. He knows.
Okay, yeah, delete this part. So that athlete reached out to us and he said, how am I tied with this guy? And what it was is some of the higher level competitions in our system. Some of the higher level competitions in strongman don't utilize our system. So higher level athletes that compete in competitions that don't have a scoreboard, don't have registration, they're invitational only, that type of event isn't going to have data in Iron Podium. So they can't get credit for everything that they're doing. So that other athlete performed well also, but they also had more data in our system. And so that's why they were at the same level.
Okay. So I'm curious, and I'm asking this because, like, for example, Christopher Montos, he also puts together a bunch of competitions. Is there like a promoter scoring for like separate, like how well the promoters do based on the number of athletes they bring in and so on?
There isn't, but maybe that's next.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, nothing. This is
giving him ideas.
Yeah. Everything podium score is entirely athlete based.
Okay. This is so cool. Okay. And I did have one question because you know how like we were talking about how like Texas could potentially get dinged a little bit just because there's so many, it's so big and there's so many competitions that you can stay and still qualify for almost, you can qualify for OSG, you can qualify for nationals, you can for USS nationals, for Strongman Corp nationals. I'm curious on the scoring. You said you were talking about like depending how well you do against specific athletes, you get your points. But what happens if let's say you're not reordering after every event, so you're last in every event, like you're going to go last in every event, and you only do enough to win the event?
Yeah, that's
somebody's going to get dinged for that.
Yeah, and we had that conversation about it too, and if podium scores catch on and as we hope they do, and become something fun that people are engaged with, maybe that's something that might change and you might not only do what you need to do. But as a strongman athlete myself, I consider myself, I've never been the strongest, but I'm more strategic. I'm the type of person that will only do what I need to do, because I need to save my energy for the next event. So, you do what you want to do as an athlete. You do what maybe, if you have a coach, what they suggest you do. And if this changes and you want to put in a little extra energy and effort, then maybe, I don't know, maybe you'll surprise yourself and push yourself a little bit harder, and recognize that you don't need to hold back.
But also mathematically, it might not actually be dinging you that much, because if you're truly saving energy, hopefully that energy is going to show up in one of the other events that you're going to actually do much better in. So in terms of the whole meet, that might actually be the best strategy, even for getting your best score for that particular day.
Yeah, because usually for me, if there's a deadlift event like in the middle or at the beginning, I'm not going to waste my energy if everybody else is kind of like blowing it out of the park. And then I'll save that energy for, all the other events so I can perform better. It's almost like I'm taking that L to start off with. So that makes sense.
Yeah, I will say the zeros really ding your score. So if you are sitting something out,
some of us try really hard, okay?
If you are sitting something out intentionally, like it's not because you're injured, it's just because you don't like overhead pressing or something like that, and you don't want to see your podium score affected in a very negative way, I would try to get one rep.
Yeah, just no zeros. That makes sense, because it's the same thing like at a competition. It's better to get one rep versus just
exactly.
Yeah.
All right. That's all the questions I had. I know we talked about a lot of the premium benefits. Are there any perceptions that you've heard since you launched this program that you just want to like squash right now?
Yeah, I mean, I guess feeling like we are trying to have it be something that's all about money. I don't like that perception. That's not what it is for us.
The first 5 years it hasn't been, so.
Yeah. We make it completely optional. It's also no commitment. So it's not like you have to sign up for a year of this. Personally, I would probably sign up. I'd want to see my score. I'm curious. I would want to know my podium score. I'd want to know my levels. I'd want to see where I stacked up. And then I would probably take a break until I was competing. And then if I have a competition coming up, I would rejoin, and I would be on that, premium leaderboard looking at all my competitors, and I would probably stick with it through my competition. So then I can see anybody that signs up, what their podium levels are. And then once I've competed, see how my score changes. And then I might take a break again and repeat that process with the membership, So I feel like we built the system to be user-friendly as far as make it work for you.
I think the way you're explaining it too is also pocket-friendly.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Or when you need it, it's not something like it's gonna you're gonna always. You don't lose any of the information that you add or anything, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. None of your data goes away. You can cancel. The cancel button is right there. We don't make you do the call, make 17 phone calls and do an act of Congress to get your streaming subscription canceled. And hopefully also people see it's kind of a whole set of features that all work together. And that was kind of the idea of making a subscription platform like this, which is, all the things that come along with it are all related in some way. And it helps people. It increases the enjoyment they get out of participating in the strongman community.
Did you, Lindsey, did you mention, and I think this was before we started the interview, did you mention something about Livestream plugins that we don't know about here on Iron Podium? Because I didn't even know that. Yeah, so
that would be a good question.
So yeah, it's actually not even like a public thing. It's streaming companies.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
No. It's not like
people
intentionally hidden.
Yeah, people can know.
It's just not something that a normal user could stumble upon. Basically, right now, we've done some work with some other streaming companies that use vMix, but some people also use OBS, so we're interested in supporting that. But effectively, we have an API that is publicly available that has scoreboard data on it. And vMix, anyone that streams can hit that API and get scoreboard data that they can then use in their lower thirds and other graphics for their day of streaming. So it's definitely something where, as streaming becomes more and more popular, we're definitely hoping to support. And that's not like a pay thing or anything.
That's not...
just email me and I'll tell you how to hit that API to get scoring data if you're a streaming company.
That is awesome. All right, because I know, I'll be seeing y'all at in Denver for USS National, so I'm looking forward to like seeing y'all in person and like picking your brains on like how you go about it, because I'm sure y'all know all the little tricks to running this. What do you want to tell competitions that choose not to use Iron Podium and instead want to just use an Excel sheet?
I mean, if that's what they want to do, then they can do it. But I would say give it a try. If something is confusing, we are here to answer questions. We're here to walk you through it. We truly made it to try to be like, when you use Iron Podium for the first time as a promoter, you kind of enter a world like, oh, I do not want to ever do it without Iron Podium again. Because, the registration is there. You're capturing T-shirts, T-shirt sizes. You're capturing weight classes. People can change their weight class without having to, send you an email, and then you have to go in your spreadsheet and move a row in here. And then when people drop out, you don't have to adjust all your formulas on the spreadsheet on the day of. So not hopefully, we've definitely made it so that once you use it, the idea of going back to a spreadsheet will be very distasteful for you.
Yeah.
So try it out. It's totally free to you. So.
And I think the performance stats part, actually, it's adding like a social a variable to it. Because in my head, like CJ and I think it was Joe Korosik were the ones that were in first and second, and they right away they were like, how can I beat this person? So I like that. I enjoy it. So I'm always curious on like why. I don't know if you get feedback from other promoters that haven't used it and they're like, oh, I don't want to use it because of A, B, and C. So yeah,
we reached out to someone recently who didn't use Iron Podium, the scoreboard. They used the registration, but they didn't use the scoreboard. They went to the Excel spreadsheet and just, asking for feedback. Why, is there something that we could help make it easier for you? And it seems like the answer was just, this is how the person has always done it. And so they felt more comfortable doing it how they've always done it, because they don't want to learn something new and then have it get, messed up. So that's kind of what we hear from anybody that's not using it yet.
There is a learning curve a little bit for entering scores. Because we did have to come up with a way that, because if you think about strongman, not only is it varied in the events, it's really extremely varied in the structure of the events even. Like you were talking about, earlier before we started, you have these meet directors that come up with these special things like, oh, you do a log and that's worth 3. And then you go and you do the power stairs and, and then all kind of events. And so we definitely had to come up with a system that would be able to denote any athlete's score for any type of event. So there is a small learning curve, but hopefully we've made it super easy to pick that up. And like I said, we're always here to ask questions and get you going.
And this is coming from my implementation background. Do y'all have videos that show people how to do certain things, or is it just, do y'all have any training videos or anything like that?
We do.
So we created a bunch. Yeah. When we first started, there's also a really good, how to use our system page. So if you go
user guide, it's actually at the top.
Mm-hmm.
So hold up, let me share real quick so that way we can all see it. All right. So where am I going?
Yeah. So just go to any main page. Yeah. Just click click user guide.
And then on the side, managing your meet.
Financials, refunds, view event. So registrants, and it just pops up like this.
Sorry, this Iron Podium score.
Yeah.
I didn't hear you. What was that?
Yeah. So the Iron Podium scorekeeping, you see that on the.
Yes, right here. Boom.
Yeah. So then that'll break down how to enter all the scores.
Sweet. Yeah, this is pretty straightforward, and I like the visuals. Y'all have so much to keep up with for just 2 people.
Yes.
Props to y'all for this.
Thank you.
No, I'm serious. Like, I'm looking at this, and I remember, like, I was the one responsible for, like, creating, like, the training. And then I had a team that would take care of everything else, and just y'all 2 knocking this out. So
the copy, I've done all the copy.
Yep.
And it was some of the most exhausting work I've done. I would come home brain fried.
Yep.
Often.
She is definitely the copy person.
Yeah.
Is this apologize for if it's a dumb question. Is Iron Podium y'all's full-time thing, or do y'all also have your like 9-to-5 job?
I have a 9-to-5 job. Yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah. Actually.
And then I'm
more than 9-to-5 job. Yeah.
I'm a personal trainer part-time, and then we homeschool our kids too. So it's kind of half homeschooling them, half personal training.
Yeah.
And then
when do y'all sleep?
The other half, the third half is Iron Podium. So
it's like that Ryan Reynolds joke where they're like, he goes, I take quick naps. They're called blinking. It sounds like for y'all. But anyways, guys, Craig, Lindsey, thank you so much for jumping on to Strong Personalities. It's been a pleasure. I love all the information. I love all the new features that are being provided through the subscription. And I can't wait to see where y'all take Iron Podium. And I look forward to seeing y'all USS Nationals.
Yes.
Thank you so much for squeezing me in, guys. Y'all take care.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thanks.